What up, GG603, owner and operator of TSW Wrestling, and of course, your reigning, defending Cruiserweight champion, back with another YouTube video and a 603 Mania Backlash. Just a few short days away. We got to break down a massive set of power rankings, guys. Let's dive on into it. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. Let's break down what happened on this week's show. Of course, going to touch on a couple guys. We see some good buys and some honorable mentions. First of all, of course, we got DJ here back in the ring. These numbers don't matter too much. Just to make sure we touch on these guys. Of course, DJ and Swanee. We're going to see one more round between these guys because it seems like DJ doesn't quite understand what went on here. So, guys, we're going to see DJ versus Swanee once again. But this time, underground rules, ladies and gentlemen. Knockout submission, the only way to win that matchup. That is going to be absolutely electric. One wasn't on this week's show. Ched and Brandon 2K, of course, 2 weeks ago. Universal Qualifier didn't quite go their way, but ladies and gentlemen, we will see King Ched versus Brandon 2K this week. BMI contendership on the line. And you're like, well, what happens? You know, Dargan, Animal, possible rematch clause. We'll touch on that controversy later on in these rankings. And we got to touch on Rowdy returning, the situation with Roldy. Of course, Chico taken out. We can confirm Chico will not be able to go this week. Tough break there for Chico, but there are some rumblings of a possible upside for at least Chico in the near future. We'll touch on that in upcoming weeks, but triple threat between Shrades, Roldy, and Rowdy. Winner will be the final entrant in the Elimination Chamber, of course, as we'll touch on the other entrants in that chamber. But another goodbye as well, as Chico, DJ, Shrades fall out in the top 25. Of course, Boxie as well. I didn't hear from Box at all this week. Not sure what's with him. You know, we haven't seen Albrecht as of late, so got to figure out what the situation is there with one Box. But I'm certain when he comes back in action, he's going to shock the world. And of course, a big shout out to Boxy. Of course, not only a fantastic champion last year, but also putting together fantastic tracks for the background in this video. It means a lot. I appreciate that, sir. Hopefully, we hear from you in the TSW verse real soon. But let's get in the top 25, guys. Here on a little bit of a slide, we've got Deekster, of course, was 21 back to 25. He is in that Elimination Chamber. No, there's a little bit of question if he would end up in there. You will indeed end up in that match, ladies and gentlemen. Big opportunity there for the Boomer. Here at 24 and 23, we got a pair of unranked guys, and yes, big jump here. We're talking Chef and Sap Daddy. Sap with a bit of a carry here. Big win there for both these guys. Of course, opportunity at the trios titles expected this week, unless they do indeed choose to wait and go for the tag titles instead. Of course, I'm gonna ball kind of in their court type situation, but finally, Sap and Chef get a one-up on the congregation, because I tell you what, Fenn and Rocks definitely have their number as of late. So excited to see what the future holds for Chef and Sap, both unranked, jumping in the rankings, and talk about the tag team scene we talk about up. Ben Adam here, tough loss this week, so he's not a double down with Luch this one time. You'll get to him in a spot or two here. Adam dropped back 2 spots. Of course, tough loss to Landmark. Looked really good, though, in that matchup. We got Founding Fathers and Team Canada tag team matchup on pay-per-view this week. This one's going to get a little funky, of course, as you guys know from last week. The 2K25 rankings, you can't change around the people yet. I thought the patch would have addressed that. It didn't. So I don't know if they don't know what the situation is, but we were on the last game, so we're not going to necessarily replicate some of the people from the new game that are on the old game, but what we are going to do is we're going to have to rank them sometimes. So, Mecho Monster, great couple weeks, great showing against LeBron. He's going to be here at 21, and it's obviously not actually that. Yeah, I was like, Boogeyman? Like, yeah, that, I guess, right? He's a monster. So we're just going to throw that in there for now. 21, though, we had to recognize Mecha Monster looked really good in his 2 matches here. Walks in Elimination Chamber with a lot of opportunity there. Big match, a lot of action. We'll see if he can keep up the good stuff so far. Moving on to Luchador here, of course. We touched on Adam a minute ago, kind of what goes for Adam, similar to Luch. Of course, Adam in action this week where Luch was not. Let's see how the tag team shakes out for these guys. Will we see a new tag champion or the Founding Fathers? potentially cement themselves the longest reigning tag champions in TSW history? Very possible, ladies and gentlemen. And now here up at 19, go from a luchador to another masked man. We're talking LBJ, the GOAT himself. Of course, big win here coming up from unranked into the 19 spot. We'll be facing your boy, JG603. And we can confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that will be TLC ladder action. I think it's only fair for LB to get a little chance at redemption in that stipulation, one-on-one with the great one. Let's see if the greatness that is the glorious mod god can defeat the face that built the place. Absolutely love this matchup. And interesting enough, staying at 18 here, not on TV this week, something we definitely meant to touch on the broadcast, but as is the case, if I don't make perfect notes, some things just completely flip and slip the mind here. But of course, big time we going against AJ. And back in the early days of the Universal title, we almost always had this one stipulation, and we will be doing it again. We are talking Hell in a Cell, 2 out of 3 falls for AJ and big time TS, too sweet. Big advantage for the champion as well, because Hell in a Cell, no backup at ringside, unfortunately, there for one big time. But let's get rolling into 1/4 of the trios champions. No, we got the whole crew of the champions here. I wish I could combine them into one, right? Just Team America as one ranking, but we keep listing them because that's how we have to do it here. But of course, they've been an absolute run. Only reason they're outskirts here, a little bit combination of you know, we're in action this last week, and two, there's a lot of them. It's hard to put them high in the rankings, and there's a lot of them. I'd love to put them all in at the 10 spot, 9 spot, whatever, but I can't do that. It's not possible. It's not possible, unfortunately. All right, but the trios, of course, will be defended this upcoming week. If it doesn't end up being Chef and Sap with a third, I'm certain there's a group of folks in the locker room who would love a piece of Team America. Let's keep this ball rolling here. And you might think, man, there's some people I thought I might see already, and I haven't seen. Well, there's a reason for them, because they're high in the rankings at number 13. We've got Yunk, and I double-checked the numbers. 7-0. I thought he just went to 8-0. He is up to 7. I wanted to make sure the number was right. We didn't want to Goldberg WCW this thing, because he has been on a legitimate roll as of late. Big start to the year, of course, getting that momentum back going, because, you know, the momentum last year can't really carry over. I did do some things to kind of artificially fix that issue, per se. But Young Man walks into the Elimination Chamber outside of the champion himself, the hottest competitor in this matchup. And this is going to be a really fun field, of course, guys. We are talking Yunk, LeBrun, Deekster, Tony, the mystery man, of course, whoever wins that triple threat match, and Meckle Monster as well. Sorry, the brain paused for a second. You saw the buffering, the wheel spinning, you know, loading the page. We got there eventually. But that's gonna be a really fun chamber matchup. That could easily steal the show. And you know, I don't know if that opens the show. Well, it can't, because we got the plane match. I don't know if it closes the show, I should say, because you know, I'll be honest, I think the Tony title right now is so hot, I could almost make an argument that a main event's over Raw and Joker. I don't think it does. But there's an argument to be mad. Maybe there's an outrage and uproar in the community, and that's what they want to see instead. It's a possibility here, guys. Possibility. But let's get into the Dirty Dozen, the top 12 here. Nothing dirtier than Dirty Dargantics, of course. Dargan wasn't supposed to be here this week. Pat came out for his match with Animal alone. Didn't go his way, mind you. But then post-match, Dargan comes out, scarf on the face, sneaking past security, gets the sneak attack in there on Animal. A little dose of revenge for Dargan. Again, not sure why he was all hidden and dressed up. And you never know with Dargantics. He's going, you know, he's a sneaky guy. He's a sneaky, slippery fella. He has been entering through the crowd as of late, so you got to think that's got to play a part in it, not to alert the folks around him. But of course, Dargan sneak attacks Animal after that, man. I would say there was some speculation. Tattoos. I mean, didn't have any tattoos. I went back and watched it. Looks like a fucking Dargan to me, guys. Walks like a Dargan, quacks like a Dargan. It's a fucking Dargan. But of course, this underhanded bastard. But to be fair, tough shake last week. Arguably some bad decision making. So I'm gonna leave this in Dargan's court. I'll speak with our sweet Dargan and see what he wants to do for this title match. Something that's fair for all parties involved. You know, we did get a good opportunity for Raw this week. Didn't work out his way. We'll touch on that in a little bit as well. But Want to make sure we don't do the Dargantics too dirty here, as there's been an outcry, an outrage here in the community, the TSW community here. But moving on to 11 and into the 10, you'll see why, because we've got Miss Stoney there, and then Bama at the 10 spot. Of course, reigning women's tag champions. The too many belts can't necessarily carry over into the thing. My chair keeps squeaking. I do apologize. I'm gonna try to stop twisting. I need to put some WD-40 in the skids of this thing, apparently. But of course, we got Bama Miss Stoney, not active this week, but a good defense, retaining against Jen and Miss JG last week. Open challenge likely here for the women's tag titles. You don't want to make sure we give them a shot on the paper. You don't want them out for 2 straight weeks. So we'll see how the division shakes out. Of course, Steph's working on open challenges right now. A little controversy with what she's been up to. So we'll see how that whole situation shakes out as well. But it's going to be really interesting to see what's up with the women's division, the women's tag division especially, but the women's division overall with these open challenges by Steph. We'll touch on Steph in just a little bit, certainly, because she's going to be very high ranked, as you guys could probably figure. But now into the 9 spot, we have got Joker going from 12 up to 9. Big win this week over Prod, absolutely dominant fashion. I'm not sure if Prod came in a little banged up. It's been a long couple weeks, months, of course, for him and the Lone Wolf, or the Wolf Pack, I should say, him and Grim. I gather Grim probably not thrilled with how that match played out, to say the least, on top of the recent tag issues. But Joker here, of course, opportunity of a lifetime against Raw Dog. And last week we found out, beat the clock challenge, Joker got the win, which means he can choose a stipulation for the match with Raw Dog. And we can confirm what that is when we get to the Raw half of the rankings at the end of the video. Yeah, you gotta stay tuned here, and we will find out what Joker's stipulation is for the pay-per-view. Let's get going though. Joker, a guy that Joker knows very well, maybe too well. In Phineas and Herb, of course, reigning tag team champion, one half of the Founding Fathers, will defend against Team Canada on pay-per-view, and we are again in this spot where they're paired up, Landmark and Finn, neck and neck at the rankings at the moment, because that's kind of how the tag teams tend to work. But of course, great win this week for Landmark. I could almost have bumped Landmark up one, could almost have, but I don't want to bump the other person who we would have passed too far down. We'll obviously see how these top 6 spots do shake out, but will the tag run of dominance continue? Will they become the longest reigning tag champions, or at least single run certainly in TSW history, guys? We're going to find out very soon. I do believe that's going to be a straight up tag match, not really shenanigans to be had there. So there's going to be an opportunity big time for the Founding Fathers to cement themselves even further here against Team Canada. Now, we talk about the foreigner from one to another. We're not talking jukebox here. We're talking AJ, of course, the Dutch reigning Universal Champion, will be defending against Big Time. We found out that will be inside the 2 out of 3 falls in the Hell in a Cell stipulation. Big matchup there for both these guys, and Big Time join AJ as the second ever big 2-time Universal Champion. Or will AJ start to chip away at that number 1 spot, of course, which we know is currently held by Boxie, AJ's longtime frenemy rivalry situation. So excited to see what happens with AJ. And as we get into the top 5 here, maybe a little bit of controversy, but I think this is pretty accurate here. AJ did fall back 2 spots here, which means someone's going to move up, and it's going to be Animal. Animal jumps up 1 spot here in the 5-hole. Animal with a win over Pat this week, and of course then attacked by the Dargantics after the match. Big match pay-per-view. Again, we're going to see what stipulation makes the most sense for these guys once you look at the match card and see what we got. I hear there are some rumblings of a Dargantics rules match. I don't know what exactly that would entail. I don't know if that's entirely fair. I don't know what this is. So we're gonna talk with management, and we're gonna see what is the best solution here. But Animal, of course, heavyweight, universal, BMI champion, has really done nearly everything in the singles division here. Can he keep up the good stuff? We're going to find out in just a few days' time. But here at the 4 spot, near and dear to my heart, because it's literally me, the reigning defending cruiserweight champion of the world, JG603. Of course, nice defense against DJ this week. Good match right there, by the way. DJ looks really good in that ring. I'll tell you, a good-looking guy right there. Like what I'm seeing, but Swanee did not like what he was seeing. Of course, DJ came out still cuckadle-dooted up in that whole situation, which really made for an awkward post-match. I think JG maybe a bit of a awkward bystander, you know, kind of situation. Swanee certainly wants a piece of this title, but I think his focus there was certainly on DJ. So, of course, you had that underground match. And, you know, I'll tell you what, if DJ beats Swanee again, I'd love to face DJ in a rematch. Swanee, if you get that win, I'll face you as well. Now, mind you, there's an LBJ there. Maybe LB isn't as kind as champion if he does manage to beat me this upcoming week. But I will tell you, I'll give the cruiserweight opportunity wherever that might shake out, whether it's a rematch clause, a triple threat with JG and LB, or, of course, singles acciones there. Because, you know, I like to think the cruiserweight's a real fighting division right now in TSW. But most importantly, JG, TLC, LBJ. First time ever these two have matched up one-on-one. Little rematch of the multi-man match, and a match years in the making. Of course, LB, dear friend, OG of the OGs, the mod god himself. Two fan favorites collide, baby. And talk about a fan favorite. We talk about Blue Eyes, aka Steph, man. 120 plus days with that title. Line them up, knock them down. It has been impressive. She's gonna have an open challenge on pay-per-view. I tell you what, we are. But get through that one, you're gonna see the deck stacked, I should say, a little bit against Steph in terms of more challenges and challengers. So we're gonna see how that whole situation winds up shaking out. But Steph continues his dominant run, 5-time women's champion, unstoppable, unbelievable, best woman of the year. But guys, the top two, 3's the same spot. Will the top two change? I fear it will not. Tony here in the 2 spot. Of course, that means Raw is going to be at the top of this thing. Tony, of course, reigning hardcore champ, reigning Tony title holder. A bit of a glitch in the matrix there on the logo on the Tony belt, but I digress. Tony looking really good right now in TSW. Best of the best right now. Elimination Chamber, though, 1-in-6 chance. It's going to be a tough deck stacked here. But, of course, number 1, we're talking Rumble winner. 3-time tag champion, longest reigning tag champion, single reign, combined reigns, heavyweight champion, the best of the best here. But he's gonna have the deck stacked against him, guys, as we can confirm Joker, the darkest of minds here. Opportunity awaits. And while he might not, you know, Joker's certainly not exactly a true baby face. I think when you face Raw, we're all rooting for your Joker, which means this stipulation definitely swings your way. We are talking the Joker's Asylum, the Funhouse match, the House of Horrors. I don't know what this is going to look like. The just implication, it's not good. It's not good, because I tell you what, the doctor's ready. Your appointment this Thursday, main event of 6-3 Mania Backlash Raw. Good luck, Godspeed. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, notification bell ding activated, all that good stuff. Bit of a longer one here today. Whoops. Y'all been the mess helping too. Sweet. Appreciate you. Bye.